What is going on, guys? Welcome back to a very special international break Tactical Foul podcast. We're going to be talking about managers that are possibly on the hot seat when you look at the Premier League, when you look at La Liga, when you look at these leagues and what's happening. We are winding down to the end of the season. There are 9 games left in the Premier League. There are 10 games left in La Liga. We are already in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So much going on. The semifinals of La Liga. The Carabao Cup just ended. Congratulations to Newcastle for winning a trophy for the first time in 70 years. That's awesome. But before we dive into any of that, let's say hello to my very, very good friend and co-host, Kevin. How are you doing this fine evening for us, I guess?
I'm not doing so great, man. I hate the international breaks, man. I hate having to not see regular football because there's so much happening right now. But let's dive in. There are some good games later, but I want to dive into these particular topics about the managers. And I'm very, very intrigued to see your opinions because I know I'm going to have completely different ones.
I don't know if we're going to have completely different ones. I do think that we might agree and we might disagree on stuff.
Yeah, we'll
But let's just dive right in, right? Let's start with a club that I like to say that I support. Tottenham Hotspurs currently sit 14th in the Premier League. Have won 1 game of their last 5, and that was in the Europa League against AZ Alkmaar, a game that they had to win to keep their hopes alive in the Europa League. And it's the only tournament, it's the only chance of silverware that Spurs have left. And I do think that they have a fair shot of getting it. Especially with Spurs getting healthy. But let's just operate on the assumption, because I think Bilbao is probably better than them right now. Let's just operate on the assumption.
I'd have to disagree with you right there, man. I'm sorry. Flag on the play.
Bilbao is not better than Tottenham Hotspur?
I feel bad for Ange, to be honest.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So let's assume that Spurs don't win it. They lose. Whether it's in the semifinal, the final, whatever. They go another year without winning silverware, which is we know what the holy grail of what Spurs are going after. They want any type of silverware. And I know it's only his second year as manager of the football club, right? His like a full second year.
Yeah.
But there's already calls to sack Ange for his performance in the league and all of those things. And we got to put some context.
It's unfortunate, man. I just feel like Ange is such a good coach. He doesn't deserve it.
I look at it and I go,
At the same time, I hate Spurs, though. So it's like, why do I even care? Like, keep him.
I think Ange has done an incredible job. I think his brand of football is incredibly exciting, and I love to watch it. Like, it's just so exciting. But I think that the biggest problem...
You got unlucky with the injuries.
No, totally. And I think the biggest problem is, and I think this is going to be a reoccurring topic with a lot of these guys that we're going to talk about. I think the problem is that, well, you're Spurs. You're one of the top 6 clubs in terms of spending and revenue in the Premier League. You are run so efficiently as a business, but you don't have any trophies. You don't have any silverware to back that up. And you can't have a team that completely falls apart due to injuries.
How many seasons has Ange been in the club now?
2. This is his second year.
This is his second.
Look, as a Spurs fan,
But here's the thing, man.
supporter. Listen, I'm a Madrid fan. I'm a Spurs supporter.
Here's a lot of things. I like how Ange plays football. I do like it. But I don't feel like he takes into consideration that it is very physical. And I feel like that's a lot of the reasons why his players are also injured.
I think the players that have gotten hurt, because I see the injury issues didn't happen at his other clubs. When he was at Celtic, the players weren't getting as injured as they are now. When he was at, in Australia, coaching there, like the players weren't getting. So I don't necessarily, I think honestly it's bad luck with the injuries. And like they were decimated.
You wouldn't want to get rid of him.
See, that's the thing that I look at it and I go, I think Ange has been building something, and he should be given the time to see his project out, because there's a lot of good players on this team.
That's I think why they want to get rid of him.
I think ultimately the reason that they're going to I think he ultimately does get sacked. I think that's what ends up happening. But I don't necessarily think it's because of the performance this year. I think that's going to be a part of it. I think it's more going to be, look, the fans are upset. We have an easy out on this guy, and the available managers that are going to be available to hire are going to significantly be better. Like guys that are out there. Like we've talked about them before, and we're going to do episodes like specifically on these guys in the summer. But like guys like Marco Silva, the manager for Fulham, is getting a lot of attention and a lot of, because he's doing really, really good things at Fulham. The manager for Bournemouth and Adani Areola, like he's going to get a job at a Big Six club or like a top club this offseason. Like it's going to happen.
Do you think so though?
I think
maybe he stays.
no. He's 100. I think the only certainty that I have in terms of someone leaving, I know for a fact Areola's leaving for a big club. Now, which big club? I have no idea. It could literally be any of these clubs that we're about to talk about. Literally, because they would all want to target him. I think he's going to be either the hottest name or the second hottest name in the summer. Xabi Alonso is going to be a hot name in the summer. Like, there's a lot of Tuchel and Pochettino have both made it very clear that even though they are at England and the United States respectively coaching their national teams, their deals are only until the World Cup, and they both want to come back to club football. And so there are going to be a lot of good. Van Nistelrooy is probably going to get sacked at the end of the year because Leicester's not doing all that well. Like, I'm not saying that he deserves to be at the same level as some of these guys, but if you're Bournemouth and you just lose Areola, Van Nistelrooy's a good option to come in. You know what I mean?
I had high hopes for Van Nistelrooy, and I feel like he let me down a little bit.
I think that Leicester team is just not all that good, but that's a conversation for a different podcast. And so I think that's ultimately going to be the thing that gets Ange fired. The thing that's going to get Ange fired is going to be the fact that, dude, you're going to end in the bottom half of the Premier League for the first time in a long time. And it's not because we didn't spend money. It's not because we're not going out and getting the players that you wanted. We literally just brought in our most expensive player of all time in Dominic Solanke, and you got 14th. I think the only saving grace that he has is maybe if he can win the Europa League. And as a supporter of Spurs, I hope they can do it. I just have a hard time seeing them do it. If you were Daniel Levy, would you keep Ange, or would you say, let's hit the reset? We have a really young squad. Let's bring in a new guy.
Man, there's just a lot. Yeah, he needs to just get the young squad because it's like he needs more, man. I don't know. It sucks that like he just came in and he's done a lot for the team. He's had him playing well, but he needs more for sure. And I think that's he needs to rebuild that squad again, and that's just a lot. But it just seems like Ange isn't gonna stay. To me,
Yep.
I think he's gonna get fired.
I agree. Moving on to the next big name on the list. And this is rubbing salt in the wound a little bit, especially because you're a Barcelona fan and what both of our clubs just did to them, respectively. But Atletico Madrid, there have been some rumblings. There have been some conversations. There have been some things going on that maybe it's time to move on from Diego Simeone. Diego Simeone has been the manager of Atletico Madrid since 2011. Right? That is a long, long time. And overall, his time at Atletico Madrid has been wildly underwhelming, I want to say is the best way to say it.
It's just I think that Diego Simeone is like so loved by that club though that they never want to get rid of him, man. I I mean, if you watch the interviews with a lot of Atletico Madrid fans, they're like, "No, we want to keep him. We want to keep him." And I just think that that's crazy because, like, not because he's not a good coach, but like he has tried time and time again, and he's never won anything. I mean, he has, but like he's never been able to win a Champions League. And I think that Atletico Madrid should be a kind of team that like has at least that.
Has won. They should have won. They're good enough to do it. Like, let's be real. Like, Chelsea have multiple in the last 25 years. And like those mid 2000s Chelsea's, I'm not including, right? Like 2008, like 2011, like the Di Matteo and the Mourinho Chelsea's. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about like Chelsea were able to win a Champions League, and it was in a COVID year, to be fair. Like with Kai Havertz and Timo Werner, like they were able to go and do it. Thomas Tuchel led them to the promised land, and Atletico Madrid, in my opinion, are a better club than Chelsea. And like this isn't to try to disrespect Chelsea. Like I just think and I think this might be just wrong, which is they should have better pedigree.
They're a very passionate team to me, and that's why I put them over Chelsea. But what I think is like they do, man. They have they have for more than just what Diego Simeone has to offer them. And it's like we've already seen what he's done. We already seen how far he can go. It's never enough. And you're never going to be able to play because the problem with Diego Simeone is he's good for a small team because of the mentality that he has to sit back and to attack. And I think that like Atletico Madrid need to try something else. They need to try something new, something more exciting with the players that they have, man. I mean, they got a freaking Julian Alvarez in this prime right now. And I feel
that
like
to me,
it's not that it's a wasted talent. It's the fact that like he could do so much more than what he's doing right now under Simeone. Not that Simeone doesn't have him playing good football, but
dude, okay, you can play good football all you want, but let's be real. After you guys beat them 4-2, is there any hope that they're going to go and beat you guys in the Copa del Rey semifinal in the second leg?
I mean, that's a tough one.
Like, no.
I mean,
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, and then there's a long international break.
Totally.
So,
I'm not saying that they're out. I'm not saying that it's dead and over. But like, dude, that's the only thing that they have going for them, I think, at this point. Because like, I think it's fair to say that they're out of the league.
I'm down to let them have him, so they could just focus on the Champions League. So we could just focus on the Champions League.
And like, dude, like that's a thing where it's just like, you look at it and you go, like, if you go into a year where Atletico Madrid went out and spent 200 million euros this summer, they went out and they got Julian Alvarez for 75 million, Conor Gallagher, Lenormand, Sorloth. Like, they went out and they spent money, invested in the squad to make sure that they can push. And again, they fall short. And again, when you talk about these names that are out there in managers, there are people that are playing more exciting and more dynamic brands of football that are relevant in the modern game, or at least more relevant in the modern game. The real question that has to come down for it is Enrique Serrazzo ready to let Diego Simeone go? That's the biggest question. Because I think they've reached a point where Simeone is what's holding them back.
He connects so well with the fans, and I think that that's the problem
Yeah.
overall, because the fans just love him too much, man. So it's a tough decision, but if he wants to win serious trophies, I think that it's time to move on from Simeone, to try something new, to try to do something, and especially right now is the perfect time. You know why?
Why?
Because their squad is so good.
No, I
Their
agree.
squad is so great. They have they have the potential to play really, really good football. Not to say that Diego Simeone plays bad football, but we've already seen what he can do with it. And like, you guys have had the best players for a long time and still not done it. And right now, you guys have a very good squad. You guys have one of the best squads that you've ever had, and I think that Atletico Madrid's genuinely ever had.
I think so too. I think this is, dude, and like, Oblak's not getting any younger. And he's
No.
one of the best goalkeepers in the world.
And he's one of the best goalkeepers.
I have him at 3. Like, I think the list goes Allison, Courtois, Oblak. Honestly. And it's just like, dude, like you can't keep wasting that. And so I think we're both in agreement. You think and I think they should move on from Diego Simeone.
Yeah, man, of course.
Now the real question, will they? Moving on to our next team, and this one surprised me. When I was out making this list, I started looking at all of the headlines and really trying to find, like, who are managers that are on the hot seat. And there were 2 names that were really, really easily, and we already talked about one of them in Ange Postecoglou. We're going to talk about another one next after this guy, but I was surprised to see this man's name brought up. Enzo Maresca, the manager of Chelsea, is being talked about possibly being a one-and-done manager, that he's only going to get 1 year, which is surprising when you take into consideration that Chelsea currently sit 4th in the Premier League, 1 point ahead of Manchester City. There are 9 games left, and the only competition that Chelsea have left is the Conference League, which they are going to win rather comfortably. Maybe they run into Betis and Betis gives them a hard time, but I think they should win the Conference League rather comfortably. But, like I said at the beginning of the season, if you guys remember, and if you have been subscribed to the Tactical Foul podcast, which a lot of you are new subscribers, so thank you so much for subscribing and hitting the like button while you're here.
Thank you.
His brand of football is going to be boring. And we're already starting to see chants at Stamford Bridge that we want our Chelsea back. So I'm going to ask you, Kevin, is the criticism of Enzo Maresca and his time there at Chelsea, is it justified? Should the brand of football you play not just produce results, because they're getting results. They're going to get into, they have a real shot of getting a top 4 finish and silverware this year, but playing boring? Or do you have to, for you to keep a job at a top 6 club like Chelsea is, have to have a fun brand of football that also gets you wins?
Man, I don't know. It's just Enzo Maresca is, I feel like people are judging him a little too early, in my opinion. It's his first season. And I get it. I mean, there's managers like Arne Slot that are doing amazing things in their first season, and it's crazy. I think Arne Slot, in a lot of ways, walked into a great situation with
Perfect situation.
With Liverpool. Perfect situation. Yeah, of course. He walked into a great situation at Liverpool. And when it comes to Enzo Maresca, completely different, right? Because I think I actually saw an interview, or actually it was more of a podcast on The Athletic that talked where Aubameyang was talking about, his trajectory and stuff like that. And it was like one season he was there, and then the next season completely new players, right? And that's how it's been like with Chelsea. So you have Enzo Maresca, who came in with like a team that was just in and out, had different players, they like almost a brand new squad essentially.
If you look at their front 3, 2 of the players are brand new in Neto and Sancho.
Yeah, but before he came, he came and Tuchel left, there was a lot of new, like the Tuchel had restructured that team.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I think the biggest
those
problem,
players only had one season really under Tuchel. And then, they come in and now a whole new manager. It was like, what I'm saying is Enzo took more of a broken team than Liverpool did.
I don't think it was broken. I think that they're earlier on in their process. And he took over from Pochettino, remember? Not Tuchel. It was Tuchel, then Tuchel left.
Oh, yeah, Pochettino.
And then it was Pochettino. And I thought they shouldn't have fired Pochettino.
But again, like, that squad from Tuchel, Pochettino, and then now him, like, it's completely changed.
No, totally. But I think that's a result of the blue group, not Enzo.
And but that's what I'm not saying, that it's Enzo's fault. I'm saying Enzo walked into a team that, is been tragically changed. Not necessarily broken, but it was so changed and it was so different. Whereas Arne came into a Liverpool team that was already pretty established.
He walked into a perfect team minus a striker. That's it. It was a perfect team. They just don't have a striker.
Yeah, essentially. But yeah,
and they have a Ballon
Enzo
d'Or
is
winner in
and like
Salah.
you said, and you made a good point, is Enzo is much earlier in that process. So I think it's too early to start saying, oh well, he's playing and get the brand of football. I mean, the brand of football.
It's boring, man. That's how he
I don't believe.
plays.
I mean,
That's how
I
he
just don't
plays.
see it. I don't see it that way. I think that he's doing good things. I think some people can admire him. A lot of Chelsea fans don't, which is perfectly fine. If you don't want him in your club, I mean, that's your club. And it's the same situation where we talk about Atletico, even though their manager plays, essentially
Criminal.
anti-football. People love it. They love it. You know what I mean? So
But I
I
think
think
there's a different
the
standard,
fans.
right? I think Chelsea is a London club in the Premier League, and they
I'm
walk
not saying
around
there
as
isn't.
if
I agree with you. I agree with you.
they
I'm
have
just
this
saying
aura about
if I
them.
were a fan, if I'm speaking as a fan of Chelsea, I want to keep Enzo Maresca. I want to see where this goes because they never had he's still a more modern manager and he understands the modern game, regardless of whether but that's if you don't like his style of football. As like I'm not a Chelsea fan. I don't know what kind of style Chelsea likes. I mean, they had Jose Mourinho at some point, and that's a style that I don't necessarily prefer. For Barcelona, we know that there's one brand of football that we want, and we want to keep it consistent. Even with Hansi Flick, we kept it consistent. We still do the same thing, essentially. Now we do it differently, but we still essentially do the same thing. And so I think that comes to the fans. That comes to the fans whether they want to do it, whether the football is boring or not. I mean, we're going to disagree on that. I don't find it boring. I think it's interesting, and I think he's doing good things. But I feel like he's earlier in that process, and you have to give him that time.
I think the problem that you're going to run into with this whole Maresca thing is that you went from Thomas Tuchel, who plays a very energetic, very exciting, very attacking brand of football. From Tuchel, you had some guys in between, like Graham Potter was there for like a couple of games.
Yeah, I forgot. They had a whole
then,
stint of managers.
Yeah, then like Bruno was there, and then Lampard
and
was
they
there
all
for like 8
bought
games.
players, or they brought players in.
No, because it was all the same season. Remember, like it was the 22.
Was it
20,
all
the same season? It was. They went Potter, Bruno, Lampard, all in the same season, and then they give Pochettino 1 year. But like, besides the point, you go from Tuchel, then you influx a bunch of managers. And remember, Tuchel's brand of football, really high and flying, exciting brand of football. You go from that to Pochettino, again, another high press, exciting, dominating possession, creating ton of attacking chances. And you go from that to Maresca, which is just, we're going to hold on to the ball, even if we're not doing anything with it, for 90 minutes. And 0-0 is an acceptable result. And we're going to try to score, but we're going to try to score so safely that that's what we're going to do. And I get it.
But I think essentially it is up to the fans whether they really don't want that or they do.
That's why, I don't think that they should fire him. I think that that's giving Maresca a raw deal, especially if they do end up in the Champions League spots. But I do think that the Blue Group take that into consideration. And I think the nail in the coffin, honestly, was in a recent interview, he went at the fans defending his brand of football. And the moment a manager does that,
what did he say specifically?
It was just in defense of the fans. He was like, look, the fans that are complaining about the brand of football, we're creating chances and we're scoring goals and we're getting results. And it's just like, dude, the moment that seeps in, the moment you let the fans and what the fans are saying get into your head, you know where else it is? It's gotten into the locker room. That's a problem because we've seen what negative attention, we've seen what negative media can do with the next team that we're going to talk about, which is another manager who might be getting a raw deal. In Manchester United, talking about firing Ruben Amorim. As we all know, Ruben Amorim joined Manchester United this year after they fired Ten Hag and brought in Ruben Amorim mid-season. And while they were already in poor form, it seems like their form has gotten even worse under Amorim. And there are already conversations that they should fire him. I know I have a lot of things to say, so I want to let you go on this. What are your thoughts? Do you think they should fire him? Is he getting a raw deal?
I'm gonna be brief with. I have an explanation before my actual thoughts about it. but I want to keep it brief. I feel like they shouldn't have got rid of Ten Hag, right? Because I just feel like if they wanted to get rid of Ten Hag, they should have done it in the summer, which would have been perfectly acceptable. But they went and got Amarim. Just wanted to make that quick rant. Amarim is walking into a very tough team that was going through a lot under Ten Hag. And he's trying to make his football be at a team that wasn't built for his football. It was built for Ten Hag football.
Yep.
And I just think that that's very difficult. I don't feel like he should get fired. They are in a bad spot. But, I mean, I just felt like that was expected. Like, there's no way you could just buy this manager and hope that he is going to save bits and pieces of your season. So I don't know what Manchester United fans had in mind. I had talked to a Manchester United fan that had told me that he wanted Ten Hag to stay too because, he wanted it time. But I do see why they fired him.
I think you had to.
In the sense of he wasn't getting the results. But okay, you fire him mid-season and you expect what? This manager to make miracles under a team that isn't built for what he essentially wants. And that's where I think it's unfair to Amarim, because I feel like Amarim's such a good coach. And I think that if he can finally gather this team to do what he wants and get the players that he needs, he could essentially have one of the best teams in the world or in the Premier League. And that's what I believe about Amarim.
See, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think one of the biggest things that we're going to see with this situation with Amarim is we have to remember that Manchester United aren't just going through a change in leadership from a managerial perspective. They're going from a change in leadership from the top down. And we could do a whole episode, honestly, just talking about the Manchester United and Ineos and all of those things. But Amarim and I think Manchester United fans, they just walked into a really, really, really difficult situation. They're not going to be able to buy players in the summer unless they sell players. Good thing is they're going to sell a ton of players in the summer because they brought in a manager, like you said, that doesn't fit the tactical vision of what Ten Hag did at all. Arne Slot, when he came into Liverpool, and I think this is the big reason a lot of these managers might get fired, is because of the instant success that Arne Slot came in, and year one is going to win a Premier League. Year one is going to win a Premier League. And he's going to put a lot of these managers the hot seat.
And those players
unfairly
fit, but those players fit perfectly with
Dude,
what
you took
Arne
what I was
Slot
going to
wanted
say.
to do.
You took what I was going to say perfectly. Arne Slot came into a team that had the players that he wanted, archetypally that he wanted, who already played in a system relatively, I don't want to say similar, but let's say adjacent to what he played. So the learning curve wasn't all that hard. And again, a almost fully complete squad. None of the other managers that were given these one-year deals, not Enzo Maresca, not Ruben Amorim, came into a squad that had the players that fit his style. Dude, they went from playing a 4-3-3 at Manchester United, a 4-2-3-1, to now having to play a 3-4-3, where you don't use wingers, and you have 10s, and you don't have a 3 midfield. You have a 2 midfield, and they both kind of sit deep, and it's just Manchester United wasn't built for that. They didn't have the players to play like that. And this is why you brought in Amorim early, was to give him this opportunity to truly evaluate this team. Now he knows I don't have enough 10s. Now he knows that Bruno Fernandes is better suited playing in the 10 instead of one of the 6s. Now he knows he doesn't have enough players to play in the 6s. Now he knows he needs more wingbacks. That's why you brought him, is to implement his style. So go into the summer, sell Garnacho, sell Rashford, Sancho. I think already has an obligation to buy when it comes to Chelsea, so you're already getting rid of him. Sell Højlund. Sell these players that aren't going to be a part of the project moving forward, and let him build his team. United are not a team like Liverpool, like you could argue Arsenal. I think they're a manager away, not a striker away, but we'll have that conversation later. Like even Manchester City, who are one or two players away from making their title push. That's not what they are. They are a team that need ripping down to the studs to be built back to what they are. And you're seeing that not only from what Amorim is going to do with this team, but also from what Ineos is doing with United. And I think that that's very interesting. Would you fire Amorim or would you keep him?
No, I'm keeping him. I'm keeping him. Not his fault. Give him one more season.
Yeah, man.
I believe.
Moving on to the last one. And I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit like, what is he saying? But I think if you hear me out here, I think that Carlo Ancelotti is on the hot seat. There are 10 games left in La Liga. Unless you're Barcelona, you have 11 games left because of the whole debacle that happened with the Osasuna game and the doctor passing away. May he rest in peace. And thoughts and prayers to all of the people affected by that. But you are in one of the closest title races that La Liga has had in a long time with your direct rivals in Barcelona. You have a Copa del Rey that legitimately might be a El Clasico final. You have a Champions League that legitimately might be an El Clasico final. And you've already played Barca twice, and you haven't won. And, like, they beat you pretty good, you know, in those two games. And here's the biggest kicker. Xabi Alonso is waiting for this team. Xabi Alonso wants to come to Real Madrid. And Florentino Perez wants Xabi Alonso to be the manager of this football club. And so if you're Carlo Ancelotti and you're staring down the barrel of you, not only could you lose the league to Barcelona, not only could you lose the Copa del Rey to Barcelona, but you could lose the Champions League to Barcelona. In the same vein that Real Madrid is in on a treble, so are Barcelona. And so that's why I put his name here, is because there is a manager who wants this club. This club wants him waiting in the wings. And Barcelona have caught fire with Hansi Flick this year. And they're just like Real Madrid is on for a treble, so are they. And if let's say we get one of the three. Let's just say you get the Copa del Rey. It's not good enough if Barcelona win the league and the Champions League and they get a double. Let's say you win the La Liga, but Barcelona go on to win the Champions League and the Copa del Rey. Not good enough. Champions League is let's say you win the Champions League, but you fail to win La Liga and the Copa del Rey. Is that the only thing that maybe saves your job because of how much Real Madrid as a club values the Champions League?
Real Madrid would not get rid of him if he won a Champions League. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but I think that's the only way he keeps his job.
I feel like this is exactly what I feel like it might happen this year. But I don't really want to talk about what's going to happen because
I'm just saying, like,
Carlo should be fired or not.
Yeah, that's the point, right? I don't want to go into the whole La Liga debate, but like, if it happens, let's live in the world where you guys win 2 of the 3. It doesn't matter which 2 of the 3. 2 of the 3. Do you think that he's safe? Do you think that there's a world in which
with 2 of the 3, if it wasn't if he wins
not the
Champions League,
he wins either the league or the Copa del Rey. Doesn't win the Champions League.
If he wins the league or the Copa del Rey, I think if he wins the league, he'll have a decent argument to stay. If he just wins the Copa del Rey, if he wins the Copa del Rey and the league, I think let him stay. I think he should stay.
No, but you lose 2 of the 3. You're only winning 1.
Oh, you lose.
So if you just win La Liga, does he stay?
I think it's a good
knowing that you lost the Copa del Rey and the Champions League.
I think it's a good argument for him to stay because it shows that the team is still consistent. In my opinion, if my coach won the league, I wouldn't sack him. Just wouldn't do it because the league is, I think, the hardest competition out of all of them because it has the most games.
Again, I don't want to get into that. I disagree. I don't think the league is the hardest one to win. But, like, let me be very clear. As a Real Madrid fan, I don't want to fire Carlo. The only way that I would legitimately say, okay, it's time to move on from Carlo is if we lose all 3. if you guys get the treble, then I think you gotta fire him. I think you gotta fire him, right? I don't think you're gonna get the treble, but that's a conversation for a different podcast. But if you lose all three, you gotta fire him. But if you can walk away with two of the three, if you can walk away with the Champions League, I think he's earned the right to stay. Like, let's not act like this team hasn't been super injured. Let's not act like we haven't been playing a midfielder at center back all year. Let's not act like we've been playing a midfielder at right back all year. For you to still go out there and compete the way that Real Madrid is competing without having a defense and Florentino Perez refusing to do anything in January, I think you have an argument to keep your job. And we've had this conversation before. I think that when you look at the Mount Rushmore of managers, it goes in like number 1, Sir Alex Ferguson, number 2, Carlo Ancelotti. And then whoever you believe.
Not in my book, but.
Yeah, but your book is wrong, right? Because you think Pep is
my book is not wrong.
Yeah, it is. That's besides the point.
I'm not going to have Pep as the GOAT. I would have a different.
Who's 2? Who's the second best coach of all time?
For me, the first one I think is Johan Cruyff.
Okay, your list is absurd. Done. We're done.
How is that absurd?
Cruyff is not on the Mount Rushmore. Yeah, was totally not on the Mount Rushmore.
Greatest coaches ever.
Not on the Mount Rushmore.
Definitely in the Mount Rushmore. And we could look at titles and accolades.
We're not here for that conversation. We'll have that conversation in the summer. But would you, like, in that situation, you think, again, so like you think Carlo should stay? You think we should keep Carlo?
I mean, like I said, if he wins, I think if he wins one and it's not the league or the Champions League, I think you should keep him.
Yeah. I have a hard time with it just because, like, I love Carlo and I love what he's done for this team. And I think what he's done is an incredible achievement. And him as a manager and as a player has more Champions League than most teams do. Like him on his own, you know, which is just an incredible achievement, and winning as many leagues as he did with us. And like, he's going to go down as one of the greatest Real Madrid managers of all time. And he deserves all of his flowers. But you're starting to get into a generation of managers where not just tactical flexibility, which is what he provides at an exceptionally high level, but like, I think one of the things that he's lacking right now is having a specific game plan to beat specific opponents. I think that's kind of what he's lacking tactically right now. And more importantly, I think that if you go the year and you can't beat Barcelona, we have Xabi Alonso waiting in the wings. That's the kicker for me, is that he's waiting there for this job. And I would move earlier than maybe I need to guarantee we get the manager for the next 10 or 15 years, because I think that's what Xabi Alonso can be. I think you've got maybe another year or two with
I don't
Carlo.
Think so. I think he
and I think
Xabi
is
be a man, but he's not going to be a coach for 10, 15 years, bro.
Who, Xabi Alonso? Why not?
Yeah.
If he comes in and has success, why not?
When has Real Madrid had a coach longer than like 4 or 5 or 6 seasons?
No. But again, you got to have the success to go along with that. Like, you know what I mean?
He's not going to be winning freaking Champions Leagues for 15 years straight, man.
I never said for 15 years straight. Whoa. That wasn't what I was claiming.
How do you have a coach? How do you have a coach for 15 years without winning every single season, winning trophies?
No. Because if you look
Real
at
Madrid, as soon as you don't win trophies with Real Madrid, you're gone.
No. It is not just about not winning trophies. It's about how you go about it. Like in 2014, 2015, when he got sacked the first time, the team fell apart. When Rafa Benitez came in, Rafa Benitez lost 61% of his games. Like, that's just not acceptable. You know what I mean? When Zidane came in, Zidane did his job, and he didn't get fired, remember. He left. He wins the 3 Champions League.
He had won everything.
No. Absolutely. He leaves, and then he comes back. Like that's the whole thing. Like, he didn't get fired. He left. And then Ancelotti came back, and I think Ancelotti's been here for 4 years. He's been here since 2021. That's like... He's been here a long time.
You're talking about him leaving and coming back.
Who?
Essentially. Xabi Alonso.
No. I think Xabi Alonso can stay here. Like, again, if he has success, if he's successfully consistent, if he can keep on winning a cup a year, which is the standard, win a cup a year, win one of the Copa del Rey, the La Liga, or the Champions League a year, he'll keep his job. I think that this team and him as a manager are good enough to do that.
I just don't believe. And Sir Alex Ferguson, I think, is the exception.
Totally.
Because there's not a lot of coaches that can coach that long, man. A lot of coaches get they don't keep up with modern football. They get stuck in their ways.
But that's why I believe in Xabi Alonso.
There's barely any coaches that can really adapt to and not only that, but a lot of, especially nowadays, a lot of coaches get really worn out after 4 or 5 seasons, especially a coach like Xabi Alonso that's very tactically.
Dude, I'm not saying he's going to be here for 30 years.
You're talking
Sir Alex Ferguson, sir. If Pep Guardiola didn't let Mourinho get to him and the media get to him and all that stuff, he'd probably still be the manager of Barcelona. Like, that's not an outrageous thing to say.
I don't think so.
Like, if you guys were having success with Pep, like you wouldn't have kept him. Why would you have fired him? Pep left because of all of the.
But the thing we wouldn't have. I mean, just this 4th season alone. We won
when all of the stuff got to him.
I don't think we won anything. Did we win? I think we won the Copa del Rey.
Yeah, but again, you guys didn't fire Pep.
Can't remember.
Pep left. Like, there was other things going on. Like, there was a lot of other drama going on. But if you remove that drama, he wouldn't have gone anywhere. If Mourinho wasn't actively getting the media to attack him, I don't think he would have gone anywhere. If the president and all the stuff turned on him,
look at Xabi, man.
The team fell apart. The president and the president and the coach were actively going at each other in the media. Like, that's not a team that's cohesively together. And I'm not even saying
is stuff like that could happen.
No, it absolutely can. But in that same sense, I'm not saying Sir Alex Ferguson was the manager of Manchester United for 30 years. We'll never see that again. Ever. It's never going to happen. He was there from 1986
to a manager that's been at a club other than Sir Alex Ferguson that long, or like not even 10 to 15 years.
No, Arsene Wenger was at Arsenal for how long?
Was it that long? I don't think he was there for 10, 15 years. I think he was
there for 10 years, wasn't he?
10 years maybe.
But that's what I'm saying. You can that's not that crazy. He was there for 12 years. It's more. No, he was there from 1996 to 2018.
Oh, he was there for a while.
He was there for a long time, and that's in the modern era. Like, look, I'm not saying, like, I think 10 years is an acceptable number, but whatever. I think the point is, I would go out and I'd say, look, if you get one of the 3, thank you, we're gonna retire you. Like, that's I think the proper way to do it, because I don't think you pass on him. I think you got to do it right, because Carlo's the GOAT. Second GOAT behind Sir Alex Ferguson. No one's like Sir Alex Ferguson. But you do it right. You retire him. You move him up to a senior position at the club, kind of like what Klopp is doing with Red Bull. Like, you do that for him, right? Because there's a manager that is exciting and dynamic and wants your club, and he's a club legend. So I would do it only if he doesn't, but the only exception where he keeps his job is if he wins the treble.
If he wins La Liga and La Liga only, do you?
No, like I said, if he only gets 2 of the 3, the only thing that I would do to keep him is if he wins the treble. I don't think you can, unless he retires on his own.
If he wins the league,
but doesn't win the Champions League, I would move him. I would transition him into a position as a senior advisor or something along those lines, and I would go get Xabi Alonso. If he wins the Champions League alone, I would do the same thing. If he wins the Copa del Rey alone, I would do this. If he wins 2, I would do that. Again, I'm at a position.
He wins the Copa del Rey and the La Liga. You keep him.
No.
Wow, dude. That's so
like I'm saying
up,
is, I
dude.
don't. No. Look,
so
I'm not firing
up,
him. I'm not firing him.
That's so messed up, though. No, that you technically are. He's not gonna move up to that role, bro. That's not
Why
what
not?
Carlo Ancelotti wants to do.
He's
done.
Coach, he's already
man.
said he's
not
done managing. He's 65 years old. He's 65 years old. How much longer can he legitimately keep doing this?
I think I saw an interview or some press conference where he was like, "I'm gonna stay as long as Madrid want me here."
I agree. No, and I yeah. But he said
I
that he's
don't
not
know- I
managing
don't know
after
if
Real
I-
Madrid.
me as a Madrid fan, if I was a Madrid fan and he won the league and the cup, I'm not gonna be mad.
No,
I'm
who
not
said
gonna be
anything
mad.
about mad?
I'm not gonna want.
I'm
I'm not
talking
gonna
about-
wanna. I'm not gonna wanna. I'm gonna want to keep him on as coach, is what I'm saying.
No, I think that when you have an opportunity to your succession plan. He is 65. You're not
A
going to be
league
able
and
to
a cup, man. A league and a cup.
He's not going to be able to keep it up, man. Arsene Wenger is 75. This was about the time when he retired. Like Sir Alex Ferguson is 83.
He still has a long year. He's still
No, this is about
he
the
still
time,
has-
dude. This is the time when Sir Alex Ferguson retired. This is when Wenger retired. This is
When did Can you look up when Sir Alex Ferguson
in
retired? I'm
2013. So that was
actually- How old was he?
he was 69, 70. It was in
maybe-
2013. He's 83 now.
2023, and he's 83 now.
So minus 10 gets you to 2015, and he would be 73. He went to 71. But we can't use Sir Alex Ferguson. He's one of one. Sir Alex Ferguson is one of one.
I don't
Not
know,
very
man.
not very many
if
managers.
Carlo
are-
Ancelotti won me a damn league and cup, I would want to keep him. But that's why I feel like
I never said I
narrative
want
isn't
him
that-
gone. Again, to be clear.
I know you didn't, but like I know you didn't say sack him. I know you said
You can't do
promote him,
that
but
to
I
him.
don't feel like that's going to be the case.
I don't think you can sack him. That's disrespectful.
I don't think
That's
that, I
disrespectful.
don't think that there. I don't think that
But you can
that
very
there's another
easily,
choice. But if you
No,
want Xabi Alonso, and
I think it's
you know
very
what I mean,
easy. I think you very easily have a conversation of, dude, you're 65. You don't want to keep doing this.
Nah, man, come on. But if he wants to coach, he's gonna want to coach. He's gonna take offense
He's
to that. if that-
already said that he's not coaching after Real Madrid. He's already publicly said that. So, like, if you can get paid the same amount of money as you are as a manager right now to just be a senior advisor, like, especially for a player that I believe he coached. Didn't he
I don't
coach
think
Xabi
they're-
Alonso?
wait, as a senior advisor, I don't think they're gonna give him the salary of being a coach. Those are
Well,
two
he's under,
different
dude, he's
things.
under contract. We're going to have to pay him no matter what. So might as well have him work. Or if he wants to retire into the sunset and get his money anyway, like, he can do that too. Like, I'm not upset about it. Like, either option is okay.
It just sucks that you don't want him to continue as coach. Just
I don't
'cause he
want to
didn't win
miss
the
out on Xabi
Champions League.
Alonso. That's the thing. Too many times you miss out on
Okay,
a
but if
coach
he
because
wins
of
the Champions League and the league, then what? You don't keep him?
treble. Treble, you
No,
can't do
that's
anything.
a treble's the only
Yeah.
way you'll keep Carlo
Yeah.
Ancelotti. That's
I would make it a
freaking
whole
wild,
thing, dude.
my
I would
guy.
do a whole ass parade for Carlo. Like again, I would do it super respectfully and tastefully. And like again, I think these conversations are already happening behind closed doors. Like if I'm being honest, I've seen enough hints from the GOAT in Fabrizio Romano to believe that these conversations are already happening. Look, if he wins the double and Xabi Alonso is cool staying at Leverkusen for another year, and we give Carlo another year, I'm fine. But if Xavi is saying,
How do you? I just feel
I
like
don't
you're
wanna-
really relying on Xavi going to Real Madrid. I feel like you're really relying on that. How do you know it's gonna happen?
because it's because of everything that came out, he literally didn't take a job last summer because Liverpool wanted him bad, offered him a contract,
Have you ever
interviewed him,
considered that maybe
and
he
he
just wanted
turned
to
them
stay at
down.
Leverkusen?
Why are you turning down Liverpool, bro? Why are you turning down Liverpool? Be honest. Why is it that the Liverpool conversation ended? It looked like he was ready to go to
it was his-
Liverpool.
because I
It
think it was
all
his first
ended when
season.
Real
I think
Madrid
he
made a
did
call.
I think that when did Real Madrid make a call?
In
though?
the season, they said, don't do it. Stay at Leverkusen. Them and Leverkusen said, look, we want to keep this guy. Like, let's see if we can do something in the Champions League. And then Real Madrid was like, Carlo Ancelotti is like 65 years old. He's going to retire soon. We want him after you guys get him. And you know you're not going to be able to keep him. He's like, yeah, but we'll keep him for one more year. And then you guys can go get him. And
I'm
like,
sure that conversation happened exactly to the T.
but dude, it's literally, if you look at the history of it, Liverpool were in on him. Chelsea were in on him. Everybody was in on Xabi. Bayern Munich was in on Xabi Alonso. And then right when Real Madrid said, "Ooh, Real Madrid might be interested in Xabi Alonso," he re-signs a 1-year deal. He re-signs an extension to stay at Bayer Leverkusen.
How long is his contract at Leverkusen?
I think he's got 1 more year left. I think it's something along those lines. I think he's got 1 more season left. So,
Wow.
again, and so like again, I might be rating Xabi Alonso too highly, and that's fine.
You're being very critical of Carlo. in
No,
my
it's
opinion.
it's not about being critical of Carlo. That's the thing. People are gonna take it that way, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm
I
saying
know,
is
but it's just
I like, dude, you're 65.
it just seems a little extreme to say like
Nah,
I'd only
65.
keep him if he.
And here's to be clear, this is not me saying I don't think that Carlo can keep up doing the good job that he's doing. I absolutely think that he can. Totally. But the question is that Carlo is going to burn out sooner rather than later. Sooner rather than later. He's 65. He is a grandfather. How much more of 80-game seasons can he take at 65? Traveling to the U.S. for the
There's
Club
only
World
so much
Cup.
gum he can chew.
Bro, they're gonna run out. They're gonna run out. It's a gum crisis. Did you see the
Before
picture of the
he's just
bull?
gonna be like, he's just gonna be like, oh, just throw me a cigarette.
Dude, like, but he's there. He's there, and like I think he's earned the right to go out as a champion. That's what I want for him.
There's only so many eyebrow raises.
Dude, how
got
many does he
left
got
in
back
his-
in the cupboard, bro?
He's got those eyebrow raises where they suddenly bang, score 3 goals.
Hey, dude, he doesn't
like,
speak.
"Let me
It's
raise
just
my
one
eyebrow,
It's
now
just I
score
can't
3
do a
goals."
singular eyebrow raise, so it's just like
It's weird, huh? It's like
I can't do it.
there's that like
Yeah, no face. It's just the eyebrow. It's just
yeah.
it's just the eyebrow goes up, and he just goes.
He just I don't know how he does it.
I don't know
man.
either, dude, but it works.
Crazy.
Honestly,
But yeah,
though,
it is-
honestly, if I got a Carlo Ancelotti eyebrow raise, I'd be like, shit, bro, I gotta go score a goal right now. Like, I get it. It works.
yeah.
But guys, let us know in the comment section below. Would you keep these guys? Would you fire these guys? Am I crazy for wanting to retire Carlo Ancelotti for Xabi Alonso? Let us know all of that and more in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and TikTok and all of those things. We're posting tons of content there now too. If you're new to the channel, thanks for hitting the subscribe button on your way out and leaving a comment to the algorithm gods. My name is Tigo. That is my good friend Kevin. We are the Tactical Foul Podcast. Get on out of here.